It's Roland's show on TV One. Y'all know who Roland Martin is. He got the ascot on, he do the news. It's fancy news.
Keep it rolling. Right here. Rolling.
News One now.
TV One.
Now.
Roland Martin.
Right now.
Barbershop, the next cut.
Barbershop, the next cut.
So many surprises.
Yeah.
We're in a political conversation now about the future of America, and that, no pun intended, that trumps any prior experience or relationship we've had with Donald to say, we have to ask ourselves the question, is he fit to become president? And our answer collectively is no.
Of course, that is video there. Former apprentice contestant Randall Pinkett there with Kwame Jackson talking to News1.com about Donald Trump on Friday. They held a news conference where they blasted Donald Trump, saying he's absolutely unfit to be president of the United States. Joining us right now to talk about that, of course, is Kwame Jackson. I'm going to get Kwame straight here with the video. Kwame joins us right now. Also Randall Pinkett, as well as Marshawn Evans as well. The three of them have been quite vocal about Donald Trump. Kwame, I want to start with you. First and foremost, why did you want to join these five other members of The Apprentice to say it's time to call out Donald Trump? All right, we're not getting audio of Kwame, guys, so please let me know when we can get that straight. But let's go to Randall Pinkett. Randall?
Hey, good morning, Roland, and good morning to your viewers. Thanks for having us on the program. We decided to come out now because we've seen an escalation in the rhetoric, in the violence, in the divisiveness of the Trump campaign. And to be clear, I've had people come to me, Roland, and say, I'm so glad you finally spoke out. Well, no, actually, I spoke out, as you know, Roland, 4 years ago when Donald went after President Obama on the birther issue. I spoke out last summer when Donald announced his candidacy. What was different on Friday was that Marshawn, Kwame, James, Tara, Kevin, the six of us came together as a united front to speak under a collective voice to denounce Donald now, leading into the New York primary, right in the backyard of where we filmed The Apprentice. And we did that in order to get the message out to America that as Donald has built part of his campaign and his credibility on having been successful in business and on The Apprentice, that having been on the show, having worked with him, myself for a year with the Trump Organization, that we want to add our voices to the debate and the dialogue to say we do not believe Donald is fit to become president.
Marshawn, you joined us there from Atlanta. Trump has been blasted for rampant sexism. He has trashed Carly Fiorina. He's been in this constant feud with Megyn Kelly. And he made a comment where he said, well, look, I was just playing a character on television when it came to his sexist comments.
Well, I believe that there are two types of racism and two types of attackers when it comes to all of the isms. You've got the setters and the shooters. And what I mean by that, if you think about a slingshot, some people will set up the slingshot, they'll put it in position, and they'll get it right ready for somebody else to take the fall for something that they can legally be prosecuted for. And that's the kind of racism and sexism and ism-er that we're seeing with Donald Trump. He'll set everything up, but he'll let other people actually hit or other people actually act on his words. And there's code language in a lot of what he has said, but he leaves it to somebody else to do the actual shooting. And the reality is that he's just as culpable for that activity as the person who threw the punch. After we decided to take a stand and to speak out, one of the things that Donald Trump said to us is that we should be very careful about speaking out against him or else. And those were the exact things I started hearing on all of my social media accounts where people were telling me I should be careful because we Trump supporters, we carry guns. And the actual threats that were coming. And so you see this incitement of violence and anger and hurt and fear. And I saw this early on when I auditioned for The Apprentice. That was the year, you may not remember, but Martha Stewart had a show at the same time. And if you notice, he was also very, very disrespectful to Martha Stewart. He did this with Rosie O'Donnell. This man has a track record of treating women in a way that I think he really feels about women. I think he feels that we're inferior to him, and he he demonstrates that. He demonstrates that. And so it was time for us to speak out. It was time for us to take a stand. And I want to invite other people to do the same, because my experience has been over the last 48 hours is that there are millions of people who are silent, but they are not realizing that they actually do have a voice. So hopefully we've given other people permission to come forward as well too.
Kwame, Donald Trump has responded, calling you and the 5 others absolute losers. That is his response to your criticism of his candidacy.
You know, I don't really know how to respond to that. I will say that he is a, classic schoolyard bully, and you see that behavior over and over from him again. I think I said before that, petulance doesn't equal presidency, and he's someone who will come up to you in the schoolyard, call you a name, push you on the shoulder and ask you to fight. And I'm going to respond by stopping the bully by punching him in his nose, which is, I'm going to punch him in the nose with words. I'm going to punch him in the nose with actions to rally other voters and let people know the truth, that we are at a very dangerous time and America is faced with a choice. We can either go towards the darkness or we can go towards the light. And I really want to appeal to our better angels and say that Donald Trump is not the leader for our future.
I want to pull in our panel here. I mean, sure, Michael, to have 6 former members of The Apprentice, all minority, 5 African Americans blasting Donald Trump. That's not going to go well for him trying to get black votes.
I mean, it's not, but I mean, let's be honest, Roland, you're talking about a Republican primary. While I applaud them for speaking out against Mr. Trump ahead of the New York process, it's not going to change much of anything. And I think maybe you will see others that may speak out against Mr. Trump. But again, I think what you're starting to realize, and I think I've sort of made my position clear on where I stand with Trump, he's sort of beginning to transition to more of a disciplined and focused candidate, and you're seeing that by the types of people that he's beginning to hire. And so I think if Trump seriously wants to be a competitive candidate going into the general, then he is indeed going to have to change his message to target minorities, whether that's Hispanics, women, millennials, African Americans. The question is, can he do that based upon the statements that he's made thus far?
But let's be very clear. Mr. Trump has not become the Republican nominee, right? I think people speaking out. No, I mean, if we look at the convention, he's not going to have the number of delegates needed to clinch the nomination before the Republican.
Well, he may not even
convention.
have to go to the convention, though, based upon the states. You have New York, you have California, you have Pennsylvania, and Trump is ahead about 50%, I believe, in all of those states.
But again, if he's not going to have the needed number of delegates before that convention, and there's a kind of a open convention in Cleveland, we may be seeing a lot of the feedback we're hearing from these contestants that Donald Trump should not be the Republican nominee. He should not be a candidate for president.
Oh, no, I agree, because at that point, a lot of those delegates look at, can this person beat the Democrat? And based upon all polling data, Mr. Trump currently cannot beat Hillary Clinton. But also keep in mind, her favorables are also in the negative. Now, the question is, when voters are going to the polls, do they weigh their options? Okay, do I pick one of the 2 of lesser evils? Do I go with Clinton or do I go with Trump?
But here's
one second, Joy. I want to play this here. Yesterday, I was on ABC This Week with George Stephanopoulos, and this is why I believe what Marshawn and what Kwame and Randall and others are saying when it comes to this issue of Donald Trump. So here we go. His meeting with Megyn Kelly. Donald Trump has
That was critical?
Here's why. Donald Trump has a Margaret, Becky, Courtney, Ashley problem. Conservative, suburban white women. Look at 1998. Republicans lost several seats. Booted Newt out because they didn't like, conservative, suburban white women don't like the attacks on minorities or sort of the rancor. Bush comes in with compassion conservatism. That's a problem for Trump when 47% of Republican women saying, I don't want this guy. He has to deal with that. And so if you're a Republican, you're going to the convention, you're still thinking about November. You want to win. In this case, again, you have African Americans, other minorities who are criticizing Trump. You have women talking about his sexism. This is where I know you're right. You may say that what Kwame, Marshawn, and Randall did not going to have an impact on the New York primary, but again, the polling data showed 47% of Republican women say they cannot fathom voting for this guy. You cannot win the presidency if you cannot get women voting for you, Joy.
Absolutely. And my concern is, now that he's hiring professional operatives, that what we've heard since last July to today is the real Donald Trump. And now what we're going to get now is somebody saying the real Donald Trump needs to get packaged up, put here in the corner until January 20th next year, and that he's going to change his rhetoric, change his tone, look a little bit more presidential. But what we saw before is the real Donald Trump. I hope we don't fall for the okie doke over the next 6 months.
Mark?
I don't think we will. I disagree that he's going to be able to transition. I'll tell you why. Because two individuals who are now more prominent in his campaign are Roger Stone and Paul Manafort, who are part of the Richard Nixon dark arts dirty trick network. And so they're going to continue to do. They're already threatening to release all the hotel rooms of the delegates that are there. So whatever his rhetoric may be, his operation still is a bit sleazy, and I think people are going to see right through it.
We'll go to final comments here. I'll start first of all with Kwame.
You know, for me, this is a choice once again. We are at a dangerous time. We, as Black Americans, need to realize the power in our vote. We know that African-American females led the voting percentages in the last election, and I assume they will do that again this time. And we will follow up right behind as African-American males to make our voices known. And we need to be informed. We need to know that Trump is not the person who's choosing the African-American community or our interests. And not only that, but he's moving us into a very, very dark place for America.
Marshawn?
I believe that this is a season where women, it's incredibly important for us to use our voice, and women will determine the next president of the United States. Donald Trump cannot win if he continues to offend women, and this is where women really need to step forward, and this is where Hillary Clinton needs to really, I think, become more personable so that she can really galvanize and take advantage of a real opportunity. This could be a setup and a tee-up for her.
Well, being an alpha, Randall Pinkett gets to go last.
My brother, I appreciate you. I want to just say thank you, Roland, for having us in the program. And this election is one that we've not witnessed before. As African Americans, we really do need to acknowledge the power of our collective, the power of our voice. What's so beautiful about Kwame and Marshawn and Tara and Kevin and James and all of us coming together was not that we had already previously spoken out individually, but we came and spoke out collectively, and that allowed our voices to be amplified. The same is true as we think about getting out to the polls, getting out to the primaries, and getting out in this election, that we cannot allow individuals like Donald to prevail, and that also means we've got to stand up for those that really are behind our agenda and behind our communities and behind our issues. So never underestimate the power of the collective. We can make change. And to the point made earlier that what we've done may not make a difference, I would argue that it already has made a difference, because we speak on behalf of those who have no voice. And even that is affirmation for others to say, I am affirmed that I do not stand up for what Donald Trump stands up for. And so thank you again for having us.
All right. I certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Folks, it's tax day, and personal finance columnist Michelle Singletary is here with tips for folks who have yet to file. Yes, some of y'all procrastinating, y'all late. Also, it's Fit, Live, Win Monday, and I'm bringing you my discussion about sitting disease with Doctor of Physical Therapy and Fitness Enthusiast, Dr. Ivan Hernandez. Folks, it is 21 before top of the hour. News 1 now on TV 1.